Good morning. This is your Sensei Al Bob. How you doing? It's good to be here. I don't have my little earphone mic, so how can you hear me? I am. It's winter, definitely. We have a month and a half before it becomes winter, and it's 9 degrees up here in the mountains. At least that's what it was last night. Ooh, it was cold, 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 cold. But in my little box, it was 40 degrees, and I have put a pup tent on top of my bed, and ooh, that's cold. And then I had to check about 3 in the morning, make sure all my plumbing it comes from hoses on top of the ground, so I have to leave the water drooling a little bit. So I had to make sure there were no messes and everything was fine. So I walked around. That's when I saw it was 9 degrees, and but it's all good. Hopefully, um, weather will get warmer in the next day or two. This was just a little Arctic blast to kind of get us, a little warning. I don't think we have to worry about global warming. It's more like the ice age is coming. And a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, Art Bell, used to have started a radio show called Coast to Coast. And Dreamland. It's kind of where I picked that up. Well, he lived right by Dreamland, Area 51, so that's what they call that place. Anyway, he wrote this book called The Day After Tomorrow with this other guy, and it was done in the 80s or 90s, and it was exactly what's happening today. It got warmer and warmer and warmer. The glacier sheets started melting. The North South Pole started melting. It basically rose the water in the Atlantic. But what it really did, the thing that no one's talking about is so why we live in the Goldilocks land, right? So the Gulf of Mexico comes from Africa along South America, up the Gulf of Mexico, up Florida, the East Coast, across Newfoundland to Ireland to England, and then back down into Africa. Well, the only reason that's happening is they call it the train. There are these vortexes in the Atlantic that kind of push the warm water that way, right? But when the ocean becomes desalinated, when the level of salt drops lower and lower, and that's what's happening with all this super fresh water melting up there in lands north of Newfoundland, and the permafrost is melting, it will desalinate that. And then those little vortexes will slow, and they already are, the slowing. That's why we get these cold blasts, because no longer is the big whoosh of warm air coming up our East Coast, keeping us warm. So in that movie, basically, everything down to mid-Mexico freezes solid, like it is here today, right? Because right now it's 24 degrees. We only got an inch of snow, about that much. And I kind of when it was coming down, I used my leaf blower to get rid of the snow on my paths. And so out there, just, my paths go through the forest. Of course, everything is frozen solid. So that 1 inch of snow now is like 1 inch, ice cube. So if I hadn't cleaned up my paths, I'm gonna have to, I'm kind of short on change, so I had to go through my stuff, my seasonings, and find. I knew I had 2 boxes of salt that you put in your food. I used that on a few places. I knew that would get icy. Kind of worked. So, hi, I am your Sensei Al Bob, and I'm here on our channel, Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob, and I'm a creator. I tell you stories. And what is it? The Griot tells you stories that kind of make you go, make you think, right? And so that's what I'm here to do. Not to self-aggrandize, not to say how great I am, or, oh, look at my floor. Oh, look at this. Look, I've been working out. Well, I kind of been working out because I can't afford any food, so and I don't have teeth to eat. And look at it, those are my gums, not teeth. And so I kind of, I buy frozen vegetables and turn them into mush, and then I kind of move them around in my mouth, and so it's like I've been doing pretty good. So around 3 o'clock yesterday, when the snow, it rained and rained and rained all night. I could hear it tinkling on my little box. And then it rained really hard around 5 o'clock, and then it stopped. I mean, it was raining really hard, and it stopped. I said, must be snowing. So I kind of got up, looked out the window. Yep, it was snowing. I said, well, I'm just going to go back to bed and put another couple of coats on and sweaters. Like right now, I've got like 5 layers on here because I've left pretty much all my wintry clothes back at the school, and the canary in the coal mine is so that the last time I was there, it only lasted 4 hours. And I keep talking about the canary, talking about him, but he references the characteristic of what our society is going through. I mean, we are, the canary coal mine. He's a Libra, right? And Libras, I have a lot of friends who are Libras, and Libras do this, right? And they're unbeatable. I have a friend of mine who's a lawyer, and he's going to be a Supreme Court judge one day. He is, right? And he is great at being a lawyer because he can balance the scales, and that's why he was a magistrate, as being a judge without having to be voted in. And he was great at that job, and it was really good for him because it really helped him to be the better Libra that he is. And so, hey there, I thought you were doing a live chat. Just saying good morning, can't stay long. Okay, good to see you, buddy. So, being out in the woods is, I'm totally surrounded by nature, all the nature spirits, all the nature gods, and I'm in a place that I'm 40 miles from the nearest, bright light. I'm 40 miles from the nearest factory, and I'm surrounded by water, very, very pure, very clear water, right? That's my drinking. It comes from the spring. And so the yesterday, so it started to snow around 6, 7 o'clock, right? And it was just little flurries, not really hard. We had a couple of little bands where not even big flakes, but little, you could, it was snowing. And then it from about 7 in the morning till about noon, it snowed about that much, right? And I kind of made sure that all the water lines were dripping and that I brushed off all the places where I'm going to have all my paths through the forest, and raked out the leaves and went down to the dirt and just made sure that it never got covered by snow. And so this morning when I woke up, it was 9 degrees, but all of my paths were dry as a bone, and nice little dirt and little pebbles, and I could walk without killing myself. And my car slipped out. Like I heard the guys trying to go up and down the county road, which is about, to get to it from me, you got to go miles, but it's just like over there. It's like in my mountain range. Now I'm in a holler, so you got these tall mountains, and they're little swells. They call them hollers. That's why I'm in. And so my little holler is really good. It faces, I get the total east-west, from sunrise to sunset, and I get it faces south, And so I get as much sun as I can, and I'm kind of at the top of the mountain, but in the first holler, and so the weather kind of flies over me. Once in a while, we actually have really bad windstorms, and it never really affects me that much. So I'm in a place where, and that's one reason I picked this place, is that unbelievably pure spring water, um, close enough to the things I need, like 40 miles. I mean, there's a couple of general stores within 10 miles. So it's not that, gas is 18 miles. I always got to keep 18 miles of gas in my car. And so, but around 3 o'clock, it had stopped snowing around 12, and there was an occasional flurry every now and then. And then these little styrofoam balls came out of the sky. And what that is, there's about 30 miles from me, there's a factory that used to be a factory. My little valley of the Sawtooth Mountains was the bean capital of the world. It was this lush Garden of Eden, right? And Bird's Eye and Green Giant, and a few other really big, dull, all the vegetables, good deal of them came from there because the place was so fertile. And they had these factories, so they picked the stuff and they freeze froze it right there, right? And the people working on those factories in the 1950s and 60s up till 1975, they were making 12 to 20 bucks an hour, which, today that'd be a good salary. Then it was like, people got to, buy their homes and their cars and their kids. The smart ones, went on to school and got the heck out of the valley. But around 1972, Bayer Corporation from Germany, good Nazis, that also own Pfizer and Monsanto, basically brought in a company called, a cutout, a corporate cutout that's, certified in whatchamacallit, out there in, what's the place you can hide your taxes? Delaware. And they bought all the big, large farms, and instead of growing vegetables, they grew genetically modified corn for feed. It's really what stuff, because humans don't have to eat it, even though cows do. And then we eat the cows, the FDA says, so you don't have to worry about it. And tobacco, which they already sold a good deal of, and stuff to make tofu out of, and Christmas trees. And they so changed because they no longer cared about the earth. They just sprayed chemicals that it killed the whole valley. Now, I'm 2 or 3 lumps of mountain ranges away from them. I'm about 22 miles from them. But that's all the hundreds of little farms that fed them. It destroyed the water and the earth and the air, to the point that the only thing that grows is Christmas trees, tobacco, soybeans, and feed corn. That's it. And the feed corn, once it grows and it doesn't tassel, it dies because they want it dry. And so it's dead. It stays dead, as you drive by these acres, thousands of acres of dead corn, and they have these machines that go and it chop everything up, everything. The whole plant, the corn, everything, just turns it into feed. And they got cows, so our valley is producing methane because it's got thousands of cows, which they don't show. They put them like over, because there are all these Sawtooth Mountains. There's a valley, and there's all these Sawtooth Mountains, and then are hollers. They have all the cows because that's where all the little farms were. And they bought up all the little farms to put cows on. And they get fed this poison, man. I went by once, a friend of mine had this country store, no longer there, but they planted the corn right up to like the parking spot of this thing. And one day I went over and grabbed a few ears of corn, and because my friend had done this and stuck it in a bucket of water and it turned blood red. So I did, and I did the same. And then I had a biologist at ETSU take a look at it, and he goes, "Where'd you get this? This is poison." And that's the stuff they give to cows all over the United States. That's why you should stop eating that cheeseburger. And that's kind of what I was ruminating about last night, because, these little styrofoam balls that comes from this factory that used to be Bird's Eye, and now they make a chemical there that they turn it into thread. And this chemical is super highly toxic. And one of the byproducts is this, something worse than what was used against the soldiers in World War One. Ammonia stuff is really bad. And because your body metabolizes, it just doesn't make you choke. And depending on which way the wind is blowing, I'm 40 miles away from it. Normally doesn't bother me, but every now and then it's like, what is that? And and they don't expel this gas until late at night when everyone's asleep and it's darker than dark, and they turn all the lights off and they blow all the stuff in the air. So they were doing that yesterday while it was snowing over there. And it kind of went over somehow around the hills and kind of came up into the whatever cloud was above me. And it had stopped snowing, but the cloud was still up there. And that gas was surrounded by water and then chilled, and it fell, not as snow, but as like little styrofoam balls. Now, I had taken this and, made a video out of it, and I'll put it up there the next thing I do. But it was like, and so there are all of these hidden, unexpected consequences that we're doing, like artificial intelligence, right? One of the reasons, I keep talking about the hidden hand, and tea, bought my own tea. They just give me hot water. So we have our little YouTube here, right? And it's only, it was put out by some guys and gals who wanted to have a vehicle. I started a thing in 1984 when I was in Asheville. I had a friend of mine who was really brilliant, and he worked for the post office doing their IT and writing their code, but he also had another job because he had a pretty big family, and so he was the first guy to have servers in Asheville that you could go on, internet, right? And he actually downtown had wires running around through the alleys where people could hook up to a server. So instead of having to go through AOL and it was like straight up internet. And he would charge $10 a month. And he had a few hundred people downtown Asheville who were very cool artists, kind of people who, wow, you got this. And he had the wires run through the alleys. And in Asheville, there are these main, there's Broadway, Lexington, Haywood, and a few other main things. But between them, there are all these little alleys, right? It's very much like New York City, Lower Manhattan. And he just strung the wires, from fire escape to fire escape, down to his little, and everyone used it. Even the city used it because they couldn't figure out how to make the internet work for themselves. So he was doing pretty good for all of that. And he started registering names. Like one day we were down in the basement, and he showed me all these names he had, like such and such.com. I said, you know what you need to do? It's this, General Motors have. He goes, nope, they don't have a website. So we just that night got stoned and just kept them coming with corporate names because they didn't have websites yet. And so he owned their domain, right? And so as the years went by, they said, oh, we want to have an internet. And said, what? This guy owns our name? And they had to pay him money, right? And so pretty good, right? And so at a certain point, I said, so he started talking to people in Europe, on his laptop using a camera. I said, wow, we should start a TV network on the internet. and we called it Your TV, right? Where do you think they got the name of YouTube from, right? And that was in 1980, no, 1993 or 4. So anyway, and we did it, and it was too much effort, And I was the star of the show, and nobody watched it. So, but we should have gone a little further than we did, But we didn't have that corporate sensibility, Boop, 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 boop. Fish it up was fun, meditation and chat. Fish from morning. Hey Jane, hey Fish, hey Research. Who else is here? Anyway. So basically, with 2012, what was that? We were going from, the Piscean age into the Aquarian age, and so anyway, what time is it? 12:15. So anyway, we're in the new age, and we have to make a real kind of conscious little thing of what are we going to do, So I'm writing these novels, and my new one that has just hit me. I've been writing. Yesterday I wrote it, and it's called Same as It Ever Was. Don't Believe a Word I Say. That's the name of my newest novel. I probably before I'm going to try and put up a rough cut of this novel onto my blogspot, xratte.blogspot, or as we call it, Griot Publishing, Griotte Publishing, right? My new, my last novel, which I only have a third of, it's called, Family Values, Bad Girl, blah, blah, blah. And this new one, Same as It Ever Was, Don't Believe a Word I Say, is kind of a mix of the 3 or 4 novels I've been working on. And I kind of said, look at this. Oh, no. My subconscious, look at this. Trying to figure out how to connect the dots, and they connected the dots themselves. And that's what I love about writing, right? Ooh. You just stay there for a second. I'll be right back. Talk amongst yourselves.
You're at the other end. He never. Yeah, that guy's probably closest. In that season when you're building friendships that just as soon as they're cemented or something like that.
use one more hot water when you got the moment. I'm back. When nature calls, you gotta go. All I'm saying is that time is coming short. Now the opportunity is here. Meaning, we can actually do some amazing stuff, or we can let the corporate, hidden hand. We're already their slave. We are addicted to comfort and convenience, and we'd rather be that than anything else. So what can I say? But get a hold of me at Gmail, the Dude Awake 42, if you want to leave anything on my PayPal account there. Many of you have, and thank you very much. But not many have done anything in the last few weeks, so it's getting a little tight, a little squeaky. So, this is going to be a short one. I got things to do. There's only two of you there. Not that I don't love you two. Hey, Nick, I tried to call you. Did you see me calling you? Why don't you call me? You got my phone number. I'm here at the IHOP office, and I'm going to go off the live chat soon. Thank you, darling. And we can chat. Okay? So call me the next half hour, and I'm going to try and call you as soon as I come off of this thing. So I slept late. Oh, you slept late. How late is hell? I really think late is very, because we've been living in hell, but we haven't gotten there yet. So I've got this little message here. It says Chrome OS system 0.41M is changed. Sign in has changed. Account update required. What does that mean? I am such a... So I left you a message, Nick, on your phone number, since you don't have a voicemail set up. Did you get it? Am I calling the right number? Anyway, when I get off here, I'm definitely going to call you first thing, Nick. Okay. And I think I'm going to go. And I just wanted to tell you folks that we got to start being conscious of what we want in our life. I've done that pretty much my whole life. Yes, things come out of the blue. But, when you are, the canary used to get all upset. You come in here and you act like you own it. No, it wasn't that I owned the place, because I don't own anything. What it was is that I owned my life. I was comfortable who I was. I was happy to do for my, all my relatives, And that's the decision we're going to have to, are we going to be doggy dog and eat each other alive? Good. So I got the right phone number. I'm really, even though I'm an electrical engineer and worked on some pretty sophisticated things, that's the other thing. I understand what's going on. I just don't want to have anything to do with it. Like artificial intelligence, why things seem to be so out of hand is that everyone is being fed a negative news lead. If I'm not really a skinhead, but if I was, I'd be looking at skinhead stuff, right? And that's all I'd want to see. So that's all I would get. If I was born again, I would just get that. And anything that wasn't within my tribe, I would view as, aberrant, isn't look, everything else is fine, you know. And that is what social media is doing. And I've worked around and through and part of social media, and I know there is the hidden hand that is doing this on purpose, but I also know that the artificial intelligence that just learns by observing is just feeding people what they want, what it thinks we want, right? It's like the school, the hill. Why everyone on that hill was didn't do anything with their life was because that's what the hill. It's very highly spiritually energized, right? So when I lived there, I didn't live there. I had two other places I lived in, and a third of my life was taken up by my interaction with the social world around me and my work. And So I would just go up to the school. It was like my warehouse of my stuff, and it still is, right? And I just went there for 3 to 10 weeks of the year to just bliss out. I would walk up and down that hill to all the different sacred sites and sit on the ground and meditate. So anyway, that's what we have to decide. What do we want with our life? Because man, it's now November. Now 14 months. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Just like the tick tock leading up to 2012. The ball fell in Times Square, and we're still here. It wasn't the end of times. They wrote all the movies about 2012, the end of things. It's just the end of the Piscean age. We are in the Aquarian age. Yet the Piscean age has so much inertia through its corporate hegemony, that it's like being pulled in there, and what's it's like the two worlds are going to collide, or we will choose to just be in this one, and the other one will dissipate. But right now, because of so many different unexpected consequences of scenarios around us, we're heading for tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. I'm living out in the middle of the woods. If things fall apart, it'll probably be better. That factory 40 miles away from me won't be, injecting, little styrofoam balls in the atmosphere. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick. All the 20 miles from me where they grow the dead corn, feed the cows that are the zombies. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. That'll all stop like that. And for me, probably okay, because the berries will still be there, the ferns will still be there. Winter, will be a little tough, but I'm getting through it. That's why one reason I'm here is to try it out. Though I really want some of you guys to come and get me. and there are a few penciled in reservations, and that's good. I like having my choices. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. So I love you all, and it's 34 minutes, and at 34 minutes, 34 seconds, I'm signing off, and I'm going to call you Nick. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Remember, go to the Dude Awake 42, leave me a Gmail, put something in my PayPal account. That would surely, I'm leaving on fumes here. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. My car is holding, I have to do ceremonies and prayers and to keep my car in one place. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Well, there it is. Okay. I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow, maybe. Who knows? But I love you. Go back and watch the other. I got probably more than 700. I haven't been able to figure out how many I got. I can't pull that up out of my database. Okay, gang. Hey, give me some thumbs up. There's 6 of you on 0 thumbs. Come on, let's see some thumbs up. Come on, thumbs up. Subscribe. Hit that bell. Send me some cash in my PayPal. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Now come and get me and take me to Key West. I live there for you. I got pictures of it. Tick-tock, 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 tick-tock. Okay, gang. Catch you later.